Hello, namaste, assalamu alaikum, welcome to us. And today we're going to talk about Sri Lanka versus Australia. First off, we're going to start with the T20 series. Now, yes, Australia won the T20 series 2-1, but the best part of that entire series was that final T20. Now, you could say how Australia dominated the first couple of T20s, which is very true, right? But we also have to remember how Sri Lanka fought back like a team, like a fighting team, okay? A team that didn't want to just take all the pain. They wanted to hit some back. And they scored 59 runs in the last 3 overs of a T20 game against Australia, who, by the way, right now are the world T20 champions. They won the T20 World Cup last year, and they were absolutely blown out of the water with the way the Sri Lankan batsman batted, and specifically the captain, Dasun Shanaka. He was just going about a leisurely pace, and then he realized maybe I can go for the win. And he went for the win. Him, along with players like Wanindu Hasaranga, who has been consistently the best player on their roster for like a few years. And it's great to watch, be it with the ball in the field or especially with the bat. Even though he comes down the order, he's able to score runs at a crazy rate. Okay. And it's just really, really nice to see Sri Lanka performing well. Now, you might think I've disregarded Glenn Maxwell's brilliant performances, Aaron Finch, David Warner's fantastic knocks. The reason why I have done that is because the most memorable thing for me in this entire T20 series was this knock. If I talk about the bowling side, I can think of Josh Hazelwood bowling like an absolute beast. He went for runs in one match, but then he took a forfer. And forfers in T20 games is not something you see very often, especially if it contains a very, very good economy rate too. So Josh Hazelwood was an absolute beast. I already mentioned Wanindu Hasaranga, and it's it's really nice to see Sri Lankan players playing their natural style. And we've seen it for a while, but they're not able to construct series performances. They have some good days and some not so good days. But that very nicely transitions us onto the ODI series, which is something that I want to talk about a bit more. ODI series, Sri Lanka won 3-2. They fought back after losing the first ODI to Australia. It looked like, okay, it's going to be another whitewash. It's going to be something Australia is just going to be really proud of, absolutely hammering Sri Lanka at home. But no, the Sri Lankan batsman stepped up. You saw Pathum Nasanka getting an absolutely beautiful 100, a player who we on the channel have talked about on multiple occasions of being the future of cricket, especially for Sri Lanka. You had fantastic performances from Charita Salanka. You had freaking the debutant, right? I don't even know how to pronounce his name properly, but I think it's Valalage or Valalage. I'm going to call it Valalage for now. He took 9 wickets in this series. He debuted at the start, something similar to what I was talking about Matthew Potts, his first series, and he's the highest wicket taker in the series. Similarly, with Sri Lanka, Walalage, first series, first international series, young spinner, and he's the highest wicket taker of the series. And as long as we're talking about spinners, we can talk about Kuhneman from Australia. I actually only know of him through the Cricket 22 game because I was playing the video game and you had him bowling his loopy spinners, and I was like, oh, here's a name I've never heard before. And then I watched him debut for Australia, and he took 6 wickets too. He was someone I didn't know much about, and I was surprisingly impressed. Right? You have Mitchell Swepson, you have Ashton Agar, you have Nathan Lyon in Test cricket. But this guy was someone who I was quite impressed with from the bowling aspect. So good pick from an Australian perspective, because Australia did experiment in this ODI series. Not going to lie, the ODI series did look like an Australian experimentation process. Because, no offense, the T20 World Cup is this year, not the ODI World Cup. So they can experiment, try new players in and out. Steve Smith didn't have the best time of it. Yes, he had one okay innings, but he didn't have the best time of it. Therefore, he was dropped after, I believe, the third game. I can't remember if he was injured, but I'm fairly certain he was rested so they could play Mitchell Marsh at 3. They could have Marnus Labuschagne, Travis Head in the middle order as well. So some really interesting inclusions. One inclusion which I'm really disappointed about, which reminds me of Owen Morgan retiring today, right, is Aaron Finch, who is the captain of Australia in limited overs cricket. And he's In T20s, actually, he was the second highest run getter with David Warner at the top, but he's just not looked good. Even if he's scoring runs, he's just not looked good. He hasn't looked like the powerhouse, the beast, the Marcus Stoinis-esque kind of batting that you expect from Aaron Finch. We weren't getting that, and it's really, really hard to imagine Australia without Finch. But right now, we might have to. We might have to think of someone else to open the batting with David Warner, with the way that Aaron Finch, unfortunately, has been going. They could go with someone else at the top of the order with Warner. Could consider Matthew Wade, just because I'm still remembering the brilliance he showed with the bat in the T20 World Cup last year, especially against Pakistan, which still hurts, but it's okay. It's okay. He batted well. Here, though, they're going with Alex Carey. Now, in terms of the ODI side, Alex Carey has been a consistent cog in the wheel for Australia over the past few years. And his batting definitely shines through. He's a good keeper, but his batting is where I always thought he's a good batsman, but can he keep performing fairly consistently? And he's doing a pretty decent job. Possibly the only other batsman, along with Glenn Maxwell, who had a pretty decent average, above 35, I believe, in this series for Australia. So Australia were kind of concentrating on their middle order a lot more than the top order, which was consistently not performing to its standards. David Warner obviously is always getting runs, loads and loads of runs. I think he got around 150 runs as well. But overall, Australia's batting was what looked quite weak, especially against the likes of Walalage and, Chimera eventually, who unfortunately didn't play every single game. But the Sri Lankans were able to control the runs and then pick up wickets at key moments, and then expecting their batting to do the trick. Now, Dhananjay De Silva, who to me has always been a bowler who bats a bit, let me rephrase that, a batter who bowls a bit. He bowled quite well. Yes, he was a little lucky too, but it's good to see Sri Lanka still concentrating on their all-rounder strength that they have. There's a lot of teams, aka Pakistan, that I always talk about. Why are there so many all-rounders in the side? Because Pakistan has not been the team which has usually utilized an all-rounder at 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. Right, over the past few years, they've tried to. It's just not worked very well. Sri Lanka, though, has always had batters who can bowl a bit, and they consistently did. If I go back a bit, you think of Sanjay Surya, Arvind De Silva, right? They would still bowl a bit. Something that Sri Lanka has utilized very well over the years. They haven't been able to consistently. But in this series, their batters who bowled a bit did a pretty good job too. And speaking of the batsmen, cannot doubt the fact that, I talked about Asalanka, I talked a bit about Pathum Nissanka, that 100, he got 2-2 or something in the series. I gotta talk about freaking Kusal Mendes. He had the best ODI series I've seen of his in quite a while. This guy averaged 83 in the 5-match series. Australian bowling seemed like a cakewalk to him. He was just so positive, but also so determined to not lose his wicket. It was great to watch from a Sri Lankan perspective, and Australia fell into that trap. And he was one of the key reasons why Sri Lanka worked in this series. Sri Lanka were leading the series 3-1 after the 4th match. They'd won the series. They'd absolutely done it. But the final game, obviously, Australia fought back. They had Hazelwood. They had Cummins. You could talk about Australia's big players not performing as well. You could talk about Australia not going in with Stark and Cummins and Hazelwood in every single game or whatever. But you also have to remember the team you play is the team you play. You can't say, because they didn't have that, we can't just say, it's Australia's B team. It was probably Australia A- if I had to think of it. And Sri Lanka beat them. Even though it's at home, they utilized the conditions. They bowled well. They fielded pretty well too. But they batted absolutely brilliantly. Scoring 300 but losing because of rain. Then scoring 290 odd and winning. Scoring big runs and putting the Australian batsmen under pressure. That was the key thing. There was a very, very close game where Sri Lanka won by 4 runs. And that's the big part. That's the best part about the way Sri Lanka played in this series, was they just did not give up. They just looked like a team that wanted to win, that wanted to keep going strong and strong and strong. And that's what they did. And just to end things off, I obviously always talk about the bowler of the series, batsman of the series, etc. For me, the bowler of the series has to, if I consider the T20 series and ODI series together, I kind of have to give it to Walalage, who debuted in the ODIs, but he was just so impressive. I have to give him the bowler of the limited over section. And then in terms of batsmen, Patham Nissanka played well in both formats. We saw Kusal Mendes with fantastic batting prowess in the ODIs, and I could talk about David Warner. Or someone like that, but I think Charith Asalanka was probably the only person who was in the top 3 run getters in both series. So gotta give it to Asalanka. In terms of moments of the series, I already mentioned it, the 59 or 60 odd runs that Dasun Shanaka hit to help Sri Lanka win the 30-20. That has to be the moment of this limited over series for me. Thank you everyone for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Do give me your thoughts about this series and everything about Sri Lanka versus Australia in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe and catch the next one. Take care. Bye.